We got a good episode for you today. I have some things that we're going to cover today. 5 key points. I'm just going to put my notes right up here. 5 key points that we're going to talk about today. Actually, I'll move it. There we go. 5 key points we're going to talk about today. Some things I'm going to do. I have some movement, some tangible things that I'm doing with my portfolio right now that I want to do to take advantage of what I see as trends coming up. And how to make a ton of money in the process. So, first of all, let's talk about the infrastructure bill. Joe Biden, I think, is in Europe somewhere. I think he's in Rome or the Vatican or whatever, kissing up to the Pope. Which, by the way, if that Pope really were a Catholic, which he's not, do some research on the Pope and his Argentinian roots, and you'll find out not exactly the best guy to be the Pope. But he has this big thing where he's going to be going to Scotland and wants to brag about getting, all the climate stuff in because the United States is going to lead on climate. First of all, that's really, really stupid because India and China, which if you count are like basically a third of the world's population, are ramping up coal plants. China is incredibly ramping up coal plants. So all we're going to do is what? We're going to sacrifice our economy and our manufacturing base, so that our global competitors can take their spot. I'm sure they would love that. But here's a guy who, and again, I don't go on either side. I'm not going to be a Republican and I'm not going to be a Democrat. Here's a guy who's basically sat around, hasn't done anything at all, hasn't pushed or whipped the bill or anything like that. And now the minute he leaves the country, he's like, oh, we got to get this done ASAP. So I'm not really thinking it's going to happen. Number one, in the House, you're going to see people who are on the way left side. The lefty crazy people are not going to go on the bill because Biden took it from 3.5 trillion, which, by the way, is insane. If you guys remember TARP a little more than 10 years ago, people were up in arms because it was 788 billion. Now we're talking about 3.5 trillion and nobody even blinks an eye. Taking that down to basically half that, 1.75, because Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema basically are the Trump cards, pardon the pun, and they basically just nuked that number. But the crazy lefties are basically probably not going to get on board within the House because they want a way bigger number, and they're not going to join the bill. So there's an infrastructure bill and there's a budget bill. If you pass one, there's no impetus for the other because this is not going to happen. So they want to join them together, but then that's just a big, big ask, right? And that's instead of doing, 10, 30-pound, presses, instead you want to do one 300-pound press over your head. Good luck with that. The good news with that is we're going to talk about EVs. So specifically, and it's funny, in one of my classes, my criminal law class, the professor was talking about how his EV stocks were doing pretty well and how they were going to do way better because that's kind of where the economy's going. And I'm like, wow, we're talking about that in criminal law class. But then I was thinking he's right. I mean, we have an infrastructure bill coming in. You look at the momentum of where things are going. 10 to 15 years ago, there really weren't any EV cars at all. If they were very clunky. Now, I think it's more common. One of my neighbors has a VW i4 or whatever it's called, IV4, whatever, it's all electric SUV. Basically had their wiring in their garage redone so that they can charge it in their garage. You're seeing a lot more cars that are electric. So that is the place where it's going. But right now there is the infrastructure to support it sucks, right? I mean, I saw a commercial with Tom Brady doing a Hertz commercial and they were promoting their all electric cars. And I'm thinking, having worked for Hertz before, I don't know how many people who are going to be renting it for a week and forget to charge it are going to have this car stuck on the side of the road, which is probably going to happen. You'd be surprised how often that would happen. But you're going to see a lot more electric cars. I mean, that is kind of where things are going. But the problem is there's not a lot of charging stations. Regular charging stations would take forever and are kind of expensive. You have the Tesla superchargers, which are a lot faster, but they're more sporadic. And unless you're on the West Coast like I am, probably not going to find a lot of those. And then the other one is you can charge it at home. But then if you do that, realistically, one, you have to rewire your garage to get a 220 volt plug in your garage. And secondarily, unless you have solar power, all you're doing is trading out your gas payment for your electric payment. Because guess what? You're going to be using a lot more electricity. So, and for those people who are unaware and saying, oh, well, EVs, you want to get those because they're more environmentally friendly, I would beg to differ. In fact, if you want to Google electric car batteries, rare earth elements, and China, you'll find out that it is one of the most destructive things to do to the environment is the manufacture and proliferation of electric batteries for electric vehicle cars. So just something to look at if you want to look at that as well. All right, next thing that's coming out, we have the third quarter numbers that are going to be coming out. I've gotten little notices on my Robinhood that there's earnings calls happening, so you're going to see that coming out. And these are basically the numbers from July, August, and September. So in the spirit of Let's Go Brandon, I would say that these are going to be numbers that predate Biden's absolute cratering of the American economy. You're not cratering the economy, but taking something that's amazing and just messing it up. You get a brand new car and you get into an accident the first day because you don't know how to drive the car. So this is going to be a big earnings period, and I'm telling you right now, there's going to be stocks that take a massive jump. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be paying attention to these stocks when they have a jump on their earnings. And in the certain circumstances, I'm going to be taking money out. Yes, I am going to be taking money out because I honestly don't trust Brandon. And if you understand what I mean by that, I don't trust Biden. He's an idiot. He has dementia. And if there's any question at all that Joe Biden has dementia, this one says it all. I mean, seriously, what is going on with him and his fists? He actually starts clenching his fists. I don't know what's going on. If he thinks he's driving somewhere, the Hodge twins said they thought he was in a rocking chair. But this is really concerning. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do this. Well, other than Cornholio, which I'm going to show you in a minute. If you're not familiar with Cornholio, it's an old Beavis and Butthead character who ironically in this episode was running around the White House and was scaring everybody, which is probably very similar to Joe Biden. What's crazy is this was done in the early 90s. It was 25 years ago. Pretty much what's going on. But just watch his hands. He reclenches his fist. So he's aware they're out front. It's not that he's not aware where he's at, but he's aware that he's out front. And he's still doing this on national TV. I mean, this is his best foot forward. And what's crazy about Anderson Cooper is I don't know how Anderson Cooper just doesn't stop what he's doing and say, sir, what exactly are you doing with your fists? But anyway, watch this. This one says it all.
In terms of inflation, because you had told us at a town hall, I think it was in July, that this was just near-term inflation. The Wall Street Journal recently talks about like 67.
Are you threatening me?
Those rumors are totally unfounded.
I am the great Cornholio. I'm a gringo. I have no bunghole. Bungholio. Is this the lobby? I am Cornholio. I need TV for my bunghole.
Yes, Mr. President.
I am Cornholio. My bunghole, it goes...
Mr. President. Mr. President, I can't make out what you're saying. Sir, the President sounds strange. Something's going on. I don't think it's a drill.
Sir, we're awaiting your final orders.
I order you to surrender your teepee. I am Cornholio. You will cooperate with my bunghole. For there is but one bunghole. The almighty bunghole.
Dites-moi, est-ce que vous savez ce que c'est qu'un bunghole?
TP for my bunghole.
Look, my dad's 83 years old and he's starting to get dementia. So I'm not criticizing him and saying, oh, he's a terrible person. If you have dementia, I honestly would feel bad for you, except you ran for president. Okay? You had a choice. If you have dementia, if you're his family, you ran for president and you basically took a huge, huge responsibility on your shoulders for the whole country and knowing that you have dementia and it's getting worse, you decided to do that. I mean, that is literally like being a drunk driver and saying, I am blitzed out of my mind, but I'm still going to drive you home. Like, let somebody else take the wheel and, you'll get home safely. And what's worse, and we never talk about this, is Joe Biden. If there's anybody who's pulling the strings, it's Joe Biden. And what I'm saying about that, if you go back to, I believe it was Woodrow Wilson, I could have that one wrong, back, I think it was like 1920, he basically was incapacitated and his wife was running the country. And if people are going, what are you talking about, Matt? Just Google it. Just Google it. Type in president's wife running the country, 1920s or whatever, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, it's kind of sad that he's being used as human shield, in my opinion, by his wife and some other people. Probably not all of his family. Definitely Hunter Biden, though, as a human shield to gain more power and gain more money. And since we're at it, we're just going to throw a flamethrower to all of them. If you haven't seen Kamala Harris's videos recently that are absolutely cringeworthy, where she's doing everything possible to try to salvage her reputation, you need to go do it. And particularly, number one, two of them, the worst one is second. The one where she's sitting with the kids talking about space, and it turns out that they actually hired kids, child actors, to appear in this video. And we know that because the kids were actually online talking about how they got this new gig at the White House or in Washington. But secondly, watch the one if you haven't watched it yet. And I might put it in the video, so we'll see kind of how this works out. And there's the, anyway, basically she had a surprise. They were supposedly throwing her a surprise party. And they have this video trained on the door that she's about to walk through. And she walks through the door, and instead of them yelling surprise, she yells surprise. It's the craziest thing in the world, and something you just absolutely have to see. But there's no doubt in them. I would always say to Joe Biden, if I'm Joe Biden, I'm like, get a food taster, because I guarantee you she's going to try to take you out. I live in California. I know about Kamala Harris. She wouldn't think twice about taking homie out. All right, two more things. Inflation. Inflation's a big thing. I went to Petco to go get my dog food. And without getting into it, I get the big bag of like chicken and lamb or whatever it is. And I can tell you it's always about $60, right? Well, I went there this time and it was $72. And I'm like, all right, well, math isn't hard. 72 divided by 60. If you ever did the least common denominator as a kid, it's 6 divided by 5. And basically, it's, 20% increase in the price of dog food in the matter of like a month. So I don't care what they tell you about inflation. It's not there. It's there. Trust me, it is there. I've looked at the price of eggs, looked at the price of milk, just everything. It's just absolutely insane. Now, am I complaining? Yeah. Is there an opportunity to make money? Oh, yeah. The whole idea is this. If you've followed me along and you've bought stock and you have, and we'll take a look at it right here, and you have your cost basis, right? This is not inflatable money. This is literally worth what it's worth. So let's say we'll pick one out here. It's $3, right? It's just got a really easy round number. It's worth $3. If the company increases, and I'm a little bit under in that one. So let's pick one that we have in the black right here, just so we can see where it's at. Okay, $9.70. Century, is that Century Casinos? Yeah, Century Casinos. Let's call it $10 for the sake of ease. It's gotten all the way up to $14.80, but as basically inflation happens, where the value of the dollar goes down, what that really means is it takes more dollars to pay for the same amount of things. So if we have inflation, eventually that $14.80 is going to be worth X. But as inflation comes, it means that you're going to need more dollars to pay for that same X, right? So instead of $14.80, it'll be $17.80 or $18.80 or $19.80. But we bought it for $9.70, and that's really the key. So when inflation is going up, you can take advantage of something in two ways. Number one, you buy something that is subject to inflation, which is anything with a dollar amount attached to it, that either stays the same or rises in value. and it's an easy way to make money. Or two, and this is the thing most people don't talk about, it doesn't necessarily apply to us here, is taking out debt. So let's say, for example, I took out $10,000 on a credit card or whatever it is, out of a line of credit, and I stuck it in and bought Robinhood's shares. When I go in and you see the value of the money that I earn goes up and up and up and up, partially because of performance and partially because of inflation, that amount that I took out is still $10,000. So I'll make money on it and I'll pay it back, and it allows me to make more money. People do this all the time, especially in housing. And I know this isn't really a housing show, but let's say, for example, you buy a house for $300,000. Now, if you're in San Diego, you can't do that. But if you're in Ohio, you could buy a really nice house for $300,000. And over time, as inflation happens, basically the value of that house goes up and up and up, but I only have a certain amount of debt. So let's say I took $250,000 out to buy the $300,000 house. As the inflation goes up and the amount of money goes up, it may be worth less, but there's more dollars involved and you can pay down debt. Now, the reason I bring that up is you want to make sure that you're buying stuff if you see a dip. Because as inflation goes up and you commit the dollar to a certain amount of dollars per share, then as inflation goes up where you need more dollars per share, it's basically an artificial way of gaining profit in the stock market. Not based on performance, but purely based on inflation. And obviously we want to have performance, so if you can get inflation and performance, you're going to see a nice big jump in your stock price. So make sure if you have money sitting on the side, judiciously pick some things to get your money committed so that you can move forward. All right, and the last thing we're going to talk about is betting stocks. The NFL season's going on right now, and I was just really thinking about this. We talked about EV stocks, and you look at the momentum of society, and it's going up and up and up, toward EV stocks. There's going to be more electric cars, more hybrids, more people getting solar, more people adapting 220 plugs in their garage to plug things in, more superchargers, more EV stations. It's part of the infrastructure deal that's going to be coming out most likely. The other one is betting stocks. Being able to literally go on your phone and go to FanDuel or DraftKings or Fubo TV has that as well. That is a huge, huge thing going forward. The other reason I think it's going forward, and this is not a really scientific way, but I think it's pretty funny. And I'll tell you why it's not going to seem like they connect right away. So I've been saying with the last, I don't know what, depending on where you are politically, the last year or the last 5 years, it feels like that second episode of Back to the Future where Biff steals a sports book and basically redirects the future that normally happens into this dark, scary future with bad things happening and bad people in charge, right? And it's like, if I had a time machine, somewhere along the line, that somebody went back in the DeLorean, stole the sports book, and put us in this position. But if you remember what Biff was doing in the movie. What did Biff do when he had all that money? When you had a big company with tons of concentrated power and bad intentions, right? We look at these tech companies and everything involved. He owned a casino. I mean, that's where he was going, and that's where you see things going now. And the one thing I'm thinking about, I didn't really think about it until literally this moment, is it's funny how the tech companies seem to control a lot of different things, and yet, unless I'm mistaken, they don't have any stake in the casinos. Can you imagine what would happen if Sergey, I forget what's his name, the guy that runs Google, all of a sudden bought DraftKings and they ran a casino, or Zuckerberg ran a casino, or Jack Dorsey ran the casino, or anybody that's this massive tech tycoon. I mean, these things have grown already, but they're not owned by the tech giants. This is something that is going to absolutely boom. And in fact, some of the moves I'm going to show you in a minute are basically designed so that I can free up money and actually buy more casino stocks, more betting stocks. So specifically, we're going to talk about some things moves I'm going to make today. So Century Casinos, smaller casino, you're saying, why are you selling it? I just want to free up some money because I want to go buy some more DraftKings, honestly. Corsair is a video game company, and this is not right. I'm not sure why. Oh, you know what? Hold on. This is not. I highlighted these, but I shouldn't have highlighted these. All right, so let's highlight the ones that we did today. So we're going to do this, We're going to add the ones that I did some limit sells on today. So we will do, and I think it was these. All right, so either adjusted or added stocks that I'm going to be selling just to free up some more money. So RDI, which is Reading, it's a smaller movie chain. We're going to free up $2,000. I do think there's going to be a lot of upside in the movie theater market because there's a lot of big movies in, basically ready to be released. And remember, we haven't even seen Top Gun come out yet, so there's going to be a ton of big movies coming out, especially the Marvel ones. Norwegian Cruise Line. The only reason I'm selling that is because right now, if we look at Carnival Cruise, I have about $4,000 that I bought into that. Norwegian is about $7,300, and Royal Caribbean about $4,500. So I'm basically bringing this down to even those three things out for the most part. Hall of Fame Resort, that's basically the football one. So just free up some money there as well. Just I'm gonna keep a decent ownership of that, but I want to sell, free up some money. AINC, which is Ashford Hospitality, and again, the only reason I'm doing that is I own about 9,000 there, so we're basically just freeing up some money in there. Cinemark, small movie theater chain as well, but not all of it. We'll free up some money there, and then Century Casinos, I don't even think that was part of it. But we're basically going to take 3,000, 7,000, 9,000, 10,000, 16, about $17,000 if we can get these things to execute, and buy some more gaming stocks. So some things we're going to do looking forward. And also we want to look at, I have this tab on here where we talked about since Delta hit. So since July 1st, really, where did the stocks perform? And for the most part, most of the bad performance was either in AHT, Azul, which I only have a little bit in right now, and Skills. That basically occupies most of any loss that I have since Delta hit. But if we look at the ones here, they basically line up with either oil or casinos. So PVAC, which is now ROCC, I forgot, I don't even know what that stands for, something Ranger, oil or whatever. UCO, which is oil. I'm not really counting Bitcoin on that. Golden Entertainment, betting. MGM, betting. Signet is just, I can't believe it's up 13 times. I wish I bought more of that. Century Casinos and Caesars. Those are the ones that are performing best. So we want to take advantage of that and do that moving forward. So if you have any other questions on specific stocks you have, or thoughts on what I said, what you hated, what you loved, anything that you have questions on, things that I kind of spurred your curiosity on, hit me up, let me know. Right now I'm going into my contracts homework, and you guys have a great weekend. Oh, one last, no, I'll just leave that off. All right. You guys have a nice weekend, and talk to you guys soon.
Various shots that people are getting now cover that. You're okay. You're not gonna get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Somebody gotta do it. Ay, let's go Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Ay, ay, let's go Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Ay, ay, let's go Brandon. When you ask questions, they start banning. Ay, ay, let's go Brandon. Ay, ay, let's go Brandon. Ay, ay, let's go Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Ay, ay, let's go Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Ay, ay, let's go Brandon. You ask questions, they start banning. Ay, ay, let's go Brandon. Ay, let's go Brandon. Ay, ay. Biden said the jab stopped the spread, it was lies. I remember how you roll, but you haven't opened your eyes. These politicians are demons just in disguise. Look at Kyrie Irving and Nicki Minaj. Look at Australia, that's what's coming next if we don't stand up. Stop complying with them taking our rights, it's time to man up. Republicans voting for red back laws, that's just what I can't trust. If you ask questions about the vax, then they gonna ban us. Hey, this is about control, everybody knows, everyone complies. We're the kinds of pros, I don't need a plane, I just hit the road, I do what I want, I can't sell my soul. Market about to crash, this is what you chose. Ruining the country, I've been best to go. You gon' take the mark, I take narrow roads. I'm a man of God, I can never fold. Let's go Brandon, I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. When you ask questions, they start banning. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey. hey, let's go Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. You ask questions, they start banning. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Hey, hey.
Let's go Brandon, and it's clear that man a wreck. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon, now the Taliban a threat. Hey, you planned it, now the Taliban is standing on our neck, chanting death to America, you are belly president. Listen, I don't think you hear, man. Let me make it clear, man. Better keep your hands into yourself, that stuff is weird, man. I wish I could take you in the back place, smear the queer, man. You could take the vax, I fear God, I don't fear man. I'm on gear 10, believe me, we ready to rumble. The only play the Joe can execute is a fumble. I think we all know he's out to lunch. That dude went camping. I'm a Christian, so how do I say this? Let's go Brandon.
Let's go Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. When you ask questions, they start banning. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Hey, hey, let's go
Brandon. We know he capping. Patriots out in the street taking action, hunting us down for speaking the truth. Beat down the pedal to save all the youth. Media lying, ignore all the crying. They building back better, but only the Taliban pilots on strike. But to Joe, it's irrelevant. Open the border, lose all the order, divide us up so they know that we never win. But we're united. We here in the stadiums, everyone chanting it, seeing it slandering. Biden collapsing and Democrats stealing it. Hey, we look at Joe. Can we get a refund? How about some mean tweets? Joe is a crook and he knows how to deceive. FJB is the motto in these streets. Let's go Brandon, sing it with me.
Brandon. I keep a drum like I'm Nick Cannon. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Pandemic ain't real, they just planned it. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. You ask questions, they start banning. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Hey, hey, let's go Brandon. Hey, hey.
To get more information on the sales cheat code, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below. Also, down below in the video description, down there, there's a link that takes you to our website that gives you additional content, some additional freebies that we have, and gives you information on some programs that we have that have been proven to help people to make sales easy so that you can make the kind of money you want, live the lifestyle that you've always wanted, and not have to struggle in the process. And what might be the coolest thing of all is you don't have to put much effort into it. It truly is a cheat code that most people don't know about. And it's a cheat code that can change your life today. So click on the link below and let me help you start to experience these results starting right now.